For our next speaker here, I've got too many things in my hands at once. I'm not a juggling guy. Okay, please help me and welcome Eric Faddis. He is a personal injury and criminal defense attorney recognized as top 40 under 40 criminal attorneys in Colorado by the National Trial Lawyers Association and one of the 10 best criminal law attorneys for client satisfaction by the American Institute of Criminal Law Attorneys. It's a lot of law attorneys.
That's great.
In 2019, Eric was selected by the Colorado Bar Association as a finalist for the Gary McPherson Outstanding Young Lawyer of the Year Award. Denver Channel has repeatedly featured Eric on Denver Channel 7 for legal analysis. When not in the courtroom, Eric enjoys lifting weights, reading philosophy, meditating, and playing guitar. And this was the first time we met too, and your story is very interesting, so I'm very excited to bring this man up. Please, level 10 round of applause, Eric Faddis.
Thank you, Connor, for that gracious introduction, and thank you, Great Minds, for having me. Based on the name of the organization, I don't have the faintest idea why they selected me, but I'm flattered nonetheless. Happy to share a few moments with you this evening. So just to give a little bit more of an intro, I was a former prosecutor. I was a deputy district attorney in Arapahoe County. I prosecuted John Bolin, who was the son of Broncos owner Pat Bolin. Switched to criminal defense, opened up a law firm with my infinitely superior fiance, Lauren Varner, who's seated over there. We do personal injury and criminal defense work. And so, yeah, super happy to be here. We, in terms of consistency, so a lot of people think about consistency in respect to, kind of common behaviors, like, I'm gonna work out 3 times a week, or I'm going to only eat out once a night, and that's certainly a facet of not once a night, but that's certainly a facet of consistency. But what I want to talk about is a little bit more big picture stuff. So consistency on the things that matter most in life. So things that relate to a person's identity, right? Core values, and living authentically in conformity with those values. So that's what I want to speak on a little bit. And to sort of illustrate that, so think about someone you deeply admire, okay? And picture them in your head. What are the defining characteristics of that person? What are they known for? What are they consistent on throughout their life where you say, oh, that person is known for this? So for me, Teddy Roosevelt is one of those figures. Okay, I've actually got him tattooed on my left shoulder. He was president in the early 1900s. And Teddy Roosevelt, in his entire life, was always a fighter. Okay, he fought illness as a child. Later on, he fought, he banded together his own team of militia and with the Rough Riders, fought in the Spanish-American War. Later on, he fought corporations who were monopolizing certain industries. So all throughout his entire career, he's always been a fighter. That is what he's known for. That is consistency when it comes to a defining characteristic of that person. Okay, and so think about during this event tonight, what are you known for? When someone thinks of you, what do you think comes to mind? And if it's something that you want to change, then think about what you want to be known for going forward after tonight. So just a brief kind of roadmap. I'm going to talk a little bit about consistency in that big picture term and what it is. I'm going to talk about what it isn't. I'm going to talk about why it's important, and then I'm also going to talk about how you can put it into practice in your own lives, okay? So first off, consistency. So as I mentioned, it's not just observations of repeated behavior. So to me, it's integrity, it's dependability. Okay, it is these sort of central characteristics of a person, a set of principles by which one lives their lives, and to which they conform their behavior over time. Okay, so that's my conceptualization of consistency for purposes of this speech. What it isn't perfection, right? It's not the absence of failure. Okay, I have failed countless times throughout my life. You can ask my fiance, Lord, I've failed multiple times today. Okay, it's not the absence of failure. And so when we hit kind of a bump in the road, don't let that throw you off course towards the direction of your goals, okay? So keep that in mind. Why is it important? So in a sense, we can use this concept of consistency to keep ourselves accountable. Okay, so for me, I have one of the values that I hold very dear is compassion. Okay, I think it's very important to treat people with love and respect and dignity and all of that. And so when I'm making decisions, when I'm choosing my behaviors, when I'm determining how to conduct myself in an interaction, one thing that I always sort of go back to is, am I being compassionate? And when I fall off course, when I'm perhaps insensitive with my partner, or I get frustrated with a client or something like that, I can hold myself accountable and say, hey, wait a sec, Eric, you're not walking the walk. You're not being consistent with that core value that you've set for yourself. And so you need to readjust and get back on track. So that's a way that this larger big picture concept of consistency can help one remain accountable throughout their life. Additionally, and relatedly, it's this idea of dependability. Okay, what can someone depend on you for, right? I'll give you an example. So again, to reference my fiance, she is consistently inspiring to me. Okay, so when I'm, when I don't want to finish this brief tonight, or I'd rather like watch Netflix than go to the gym, I think of my fiance, and I think of the high standards that she has and the high level performance that she exhibits repeatedly. And it's inspiring to me. She is consistently inspiring. That is a defining characteristic of Lauren Varner. Another example, so my grandmother, she was consistently warm. Okay, that is something that everyone knew about her. And when life would get, sort of cold and things were going terribly, I could always go to her for love and this sense of caring and nurturing and affection. She was consistently warm. That was a defining characteristic of my grandmother. And so think about, what is your defining characteristic? And what do you want to be your defining characteristic? Additionally, it helps build trust, right? If you can depend on someone for a certain thing, then you trust that they are going to act consistently with their reputation and character. Sorry, I just got the 5-minute warning, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. But also, it's part of your personal brand, right? So these core values that you set for yourself, these set of principles by which you abide, that is what you become known for. So it's your personal brand, and that can also sort of bleed over into your professional brand. For example, with our law firm, we pride ourselves on being sort of a modern, innovative, new age type of law firm. We're not your grandpa's stuffy old law firm. We're not like a bunch of old white dudes in front of a bunch of law books and who don't know how to send an email. Like, that is not us. So we have endeavored to establish time and again a consistent reputation for being modern and state-of-the-art. Clients know that if they come to us, they're going to have access to the highest level technology, to creative solutions, and to everything that this sort of modern age brings with it. And so that's how this, having a set of core principles, of core values, and then acting in conformity therewith can help establish not only your personal brand, who you are as a human being, but also your professional brand. And so be mindful of that. Lastly, kind of some tips to put this into practice. This may sound off topic, but it's not. And I think Avital would agree that meditation, it's something that has just been a blessing in my life, and I encourage all of you to at least give it a try. Okay, it's fun, it's easy, you can do it with a partner, you can do it by yourself. It's kind of like sex in that sense. But what it does is it centers you, right? It grounds you. It brings you back to your home base. And that is your core set of principles. That is your core set of values. And so you become in touch with that part of you. And it is so much easier to refer back to that when you're deciding how to behave in the future. So that's something I would recommend. Also, one great piece of advice that my dad gave me, who's also here, Jim Faddis, was consistently do things that scare you. Okay, that's something that has been so transformative in my life, because these opportunities, they're opportunities for growth, they're character building, and so don't shy away from those things that scare you. I was terrified early on of being a trial lawyer. I thought that, gosh, I'm just going to write contracts or whatever and sit in a office and just be by myself. But when I started to do it more, I really found kind of a calling in myself, and I found that I was sort of skillful at it. And since I started doing it, I've done 48 trials, and that's in the legal world, that's a good amount of trials. And so just keep in mind that consistently do things that scare you. And I'll end with this, that my conceptualization of consistency and something that you should ask yourself are, what are your defining characteristics? What do you stand for? What do you want to be remembered for? And define that and then act in conformity with that. Thank you all so much for your time.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think for me, it might sound a bit cliche, but that self-care piece is huge. Like, Elon Musk says something like, as a CEO or an entrepreneur, you need to work 100 hours a week. And I would respectfully disagree with that. If you're working 100 hours a week, you are absolutely depleting yourself of resources, mentally, emotionally, physically. And so if you're working 100 hours a week, but you're only functioning at 50%, that is not optimal. That is not an efficient way to perform. So when you have that self-care piece, you can really sort of rejuvenate yourself and come out with all guns blazing. For me, meditation, like I mentioned, is a big part of that. Also, fueling your body right. Like, it's so easy when we get all caught up with work and that kind of stuff to just go out and get McDonald's or whatever. If you can really fuel your body right and treat it how it is meant to be treated, that can help you perform optimally as well. So I would keep those things in mind in terms of balance.
Yeah. Wow, those are awesome.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off that, we do a good amount of video marketing for our law firm, and I remember in the beginning, I would do one and I'd watch myself and I would say, gosh, my posture has to be like this and my diction has to be impeccable and I'm all stiff, and when I really kind of just let go and tried to be a little more genuine, like I was talking to my mom or something like that, and really kind of channel the reason that I do this. I'm sure you're passionate about neurology and have that in your heart. And I think if you sort of visit that even before you do the video, it kind of grounds you, and then you start to talk in a really authentic way about something you love. And that's when I think it is the most compelling for that video marketing, to just really connect like human to human about this cool thing that you love.